So right now we're working on a current project that I'm kind of playing with, and I just wanted to take you guys through a condensed tutorial on how to complete the main parts of this architecture visualization scene. So you'll find right now what I'm doing is I am cleaning up my file from AutoCAD. I think it's 2019 from Autodesk. That's for the Mac side. That's predominantly what I use, and just cleaning it up will allow us to kind of build things up in a quicker succession later on. So you'd see there that I kind of grabbing the splines that came in from AutoCAD. Now those are the ways I set them up in AutoCAD. So I create polylines within AutoCAD so that once they're into 3ds Max, what I can do is just grab that polyline or that spline and just create a simple extrusion modifier on it. For that is the easiest way that I've found of creating walls within 3ds Max, but there is 3 or 4 different methods that I've found that work really well for creating walls. And if you guys want to see them, check out a tutorial on my channel. I think it's called 3 ways of creating walls in 3ds Max. That'll kind of illustrate all the different paths, but here guys you can see that I'm starting to create the floors, and it's again just a simple spline which I created into 3ds Max this time around and just placed an extrusion modifier on it. Alright, so guys, as we start getting into this tutorial a little bit further, you'll see that I've selected all of my exterior wheels. I think interior as well here, I'm not 100% sure. And you'll see that I'm starting to create splice planes. Slice planes are really easy, you can find them in your modifier stack. And you'll notice here that I'm just kind of angling it up, making sure I'm placing it where I want to. And this will enable me to kind of create an additional set of polygons or vertexes through all of that. And that enables me to come in through here, grab the polygon on the edge and kind of either extrude it or bridge it to the opposing polygon. So you'll see here in a minute that I'll bridge between 2, where you can just kind of create this bridge. So you select both polygons on the left and right hand side, the 2 opposing, and then over in your settings over on the right hand side you can click that bridge option and it automatically just kind of bridges the gap between the 2. It's the easiest way I've found to create all the lintels within your windows and your doors. So moving on from the lintels, you can see I'm now doing the same. I've created a splice plane down, and this will basically just enable me to create all the thresholds for the exterior walls. I'm not sure why I do it. I don't normally do it to this much detail, but for this project I'm going to try and make it as realistic as possible. Fingers crossed it works out. From here I noticed that one of those extrusions from the original splines didn't really work out, so I had to do a little bit of cleanup here just to clean up this wall because it wasn't going to be the same height as everything else. So you can see that I'm starting to do a little bit of cleanup on all the polygons before moving back into that bridging command. So guys, I'd really like to hear from you guys as to how you like these condensed tutorials, with me just kind of doing a verbal walkthrough of the things that I'm kind of doing within the video. I think this should be an awesome way for you guys to kind of absorb a lot of information without kind of wasting too much time, and you can see a new technique or a process of completing things that maybe you've seen before, maybe you haven't, but hopefully you can kind of see a way in which to complete it. Let me know down in the comments down below whether you prefer a real-time tutorial or whether you're quite happy with these kind of voiceover tutorials. Alright guys, so we're moving into the roof right now. And it's just a simple box shape that I've just created an extra segment, so I've got a bit of play there with the vertexes. So you can see I'm just lining it up and kind of creating, and then I'm kind of just joining or creating another set of polygons to join the wall to the roof. Just lining it up. Again, your snap tools by hitting the letter S on your keyboard will make life a lot easier. If you're finding the snaps aren't working completely correctly, right click on the snaps up in your toolbar and you can kind of adjust them, whether you want to the vertex, the edges, or whatever you choose. I think by default they're set to grid lines, or grid lines rather, and it doesn't always work the best, so just kind of put it on vertex initially, and if you need to edges as well. Vertex is obviously your main one. Alright guys, so I've created that edge capping for one side of the roof. Now it's basically a simple method of just changing it down and creating a cloned object for the other end of the gable. Now you'll notice too that I've actually got my axis constraints on. So if you guys are having issues with the movement and moving it on the XYZ axis, what you can do is go back into those snap options to make life a lot easier when you're moving things around. Alright guys, so from here I'm starting to build up the truss system, or the rafters that you will see internally, because I'm looking at an exposed truss system for the internal renders. So this took a little bit of work to kind of get sorted. I'm not sure what I was playing with the dimensions, but I ended up screwing it up a little bit, and it ended up being a little bit easier just to actually using those snap constraints and axis constraints to apply it to the wall, and then just kind of visually eyeball it and place those truss systems or the rafters where I needed to. So from here guys, the rafters, or one half of the rafters, is sorted. From there I can kind of create a simple mirror tool before jumping in and using the spacing tool. Now the spacing tool is super powerful. By default it is on your toolbar up the top, but I think it's also accessible through your edit or your tools. Go down into your align stack and then go into your spacing tool. So this will enable me to place a spline within an area that I want to kind of align a object along, and then dictate how much of a spacing I want through those objects, or how many items of that object I want spaced through. So for something like this truss system or rafter system, it is a phenomenal way of kind of doing it quickly and efficiently. Alright guys, so here you can see I'm again using that spacing tool to kind of create my rafters throughout the kind of interior shots. So again, a very easy tool. I think it's by default up on the toolbar up above. So yeah, the spacing tool is an amazing kind of way just to kind of get a spaced or aligning them along a axis. You'll also notice that sometimes my viewport goes a little bit crazy. I've since worked out what's creating all of that craziness, and if you guys have the same issue, I'll create a quick 30-second tutorial on how to change it. Basically, you need to go into your configuration settings for your viewport and adjust those and change it from a DirectX version 11 to 9, I believe. That fixed it pretty extensively for me, and I haven't had any issues since. So here guys, you can see I'm kind of again creating those little capping points towards the end of all of the roofing. I'm trying to line it up, and later on in the videos, probably not in this video, maybe in one of the later ones, you'll actually see that I've made a small adjustment into this kind of little addition or alcove dining area on the end of this kind of pavilion, and that's because I realized internally that having it off axis or off center kind of just screwed with the overall look of it. So I ended up making a few adjustments to the floor plan because I realized in hindsight it wasn't going to work quite as well as what I wanted or what I had envisioned. Alright guys, so right now you're seeing me grab those edge cappings and kind of just create an extrusion by a few mil on them. I think it's about 50 mil on them, just to kind of give it a little bit of additional profile, and you can see it stand out a little bit on the edges of these pavilions. You see here I'm going back into the side profiles and kind of just giving them a side profile as well, just to add in that little bit additional detailing, adjusting some of the windows as I see fit. And I think this is going to start bringing us to the tail end of this tutorial, or this walkthrough. Alright guys, as we move into this portion of our project, we're starting to deal with the internal courtyard and the creation of a pool. So this is very simple. You basically start with either a box or a plane, convert it to an edible poly, and then through here you can use a series of inset and extrusion tools and maybe moving them slightly in order to create the profile that you want. Alright guys, so we're going to start wrapping up this tutorial right after I finish creating this Railclone object. So if you guys aren't familiar with Railclone, a really super powerful program or add-on for 3ds Max, it and its sister program called Forest Pack are really great, from i2 softwares. I'll leave a description if I remember down in the comments or description down below, but basically you can kind of set up these reference splines of where you want the objects to kind of fall in. I'm now creating my object that I kind of want to array throughout that kind of spline or on that surface. Really powerful program, but there's a little bit too much to go through on this kind of annotated kind of speed tutorial, so I'll kind of cover that in a standalone tutorials if that's something you guys are interested in later on. It'll only be the basics because I think that's all you really need initially, but yeah, let me know down in the comments down below.
Anyway guys, that is it from me. Thank you so much for hanging around this long into the video. Let me know down in the comments down below what you guys thought about this kind of condensed tutorial format. I'd love to have a chat with you guys down below on what you guys think we can improve overall to help you guys get all this information in a short time frame. Till next time guys, have an awesome week.